Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Nike Lebron Witness 9. So of course this is LeBron James's kind of like takedown shoe, takedown model, and the Witness line has actually been pretty solid. You know, I actually see a lot of Witnesses, you know what I mean, at the gym. So yeah, the 9 just came out. And there's actually a good amount of colorways available now. Like, probably don't get white. I don't know if you guys, if it's coming out on camera, but it is filthy. It is really freaking dirty. So I mean, obviously it's an all white shoe, so that makes sense. But yeah, this shoe retails for $105, which I think is a pretty good price. But they keep raising the price though, which kind of sucks, you know what I mean? But still, for a cheap shoe, especially for React X foam, $105 I feel like is pretty good, right? So if you guys do want to cop it, try to leave in the free link in the description box. And if you do choose to get this shoe, it does have me out if you buy it through the free link in the description box, or the YouTube link will be right over here. And also, if you guys have any questions, you guys can always ask me on or DM me on Instagram. I try to get to all my DMs and get back to you guys. But yeah, let's get started right off with the Tracciones, right? So when I first got these, I was like super freaking impressed. Like on my wood floors, I was like, yo, this has a really nice bite. Yeah, I was like, why? It doesn't seem good, you know what I mean? Because here in the forefoot, we have a very, very large herringbone traction pattern. And it reminds me of like the GT Cut 2s, you know what I mean? I forgot what the actual tech is called, but it looks pretty similar, you know what I mean? It's like two little grooves making like a bigger one. If you have that here in the forefoot and here in the heel, like what is this? It says 23. We got the crown and kind of comes down here to the heel, you know, and we got like it looks like a Wi-Fi bar, you know. But yeah, I played in these and it was actually not that good. You know, when I first got these, or when I first started playing in these at the actual basketball court, I was playing on like a dirtier court and it was sliding around a good amount. So I was like, what the heck? Like I tried on my wood floors, it had a really good bite even through dust. But then on the actual basketball court, like the 24-hour fitness court, which is usually dirty, it wasn't the best, you know what I mean? So yeah, that kind of sucked. But then, you know, I started, you know, breaking it in and I kept playing in it and the traction gradually improved, but it definitely is not top tier, right? So when I was playing on a clean court after breaking the shoe in, it actually has a very solid and very, very nice bite, right? Also, this shoe is pretty silent in terms of squeak. However, once you break it in and you're playing on a really clean court, there's a little bit of a squeak, but still mostly silent. Of course, squeak has nothing to do with performance. But yeah, once I started playing on a dusty court, however, it seemed to be picking up like dust, you know what I mean? It was affected by dust a lot, so it would just slide around, like slide out. And I guess like a good thing is that it never felt dangerous to me, but it was just affected by that dust, and it was just like, it would pick that dust up and just like, it would just stick there and I would slide around. Like, look at this. You know what I mean? So if you're playing on a slightly dusty court, I feel like you'll get pretty good stops, pretty good traction, like once you like if you keep wiping, but also probably not the best. And then on a moderately dusty court to a super dusty court, it definitely wasn't the best for me. But I had a good time when I was playing on a clean court though. Like the LA Fitness court that I usually go to, they like mopped that one, so I had good stops there once I broke it in. But you know, on the dustier courts like the 24-hour fitness, it wasn't the best, right? So that kind of sucks. And also for durability, I don't know, I'm a little bit indifferent because yeah, like when I press it, it's really soft, you know what I mean? So I feel like it probably wouldn't be the best though, you know what I mean? Because they are two thinner grooves. It's not like it's together. So I feel like it'll rip off pretty easily if you're playing on outdoor court. So yeah, even outdoor use doesn't seem the greatest, right? So there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition. Overall, extremely freaking smooth. And this shoe does not seem smooth for the heel to toe transition, but it really surprising, right? So here in the heel, it's pretty edged out, but there is a little bit of a rounded shape here in like the back of the heel, but it's actually quite soft. You have a good amount of heel compression, so it's really not clunky at all, you know what I mean? So it felt pretty smooth here in the heel, and then coming here to the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape as well. And look at this, it's super freaking flexible. It's not like a super springy explosive feel, but it is able to flex, right? And it has a really smooth feel here in the forefoot as well when you're doing heel dominant strides. And overall torsion support, I would say, isn't the best. You know, look at this. You know, it's just more on the softer side of things, but overall heel to toe transition when you're doing heel dominant strides on the court, very, very smooth, right? And now moving on to the cushioning setup, which is my favorite part about this shoe. So for $105, they're giving us full length React X. So look at this, React X, right? And really, it like surprised the hell out of me. It's super freaking nice. So first of all, the court feel is really good. I would say it's just a tiny bit higher up off the ground than the Sabrina 3s, you know, but pretty comparable actually for the court feel, which really surprised me, you know? So you are pretty low to the ground when you're playing in the shoe, but also the underfoot cushion is super freaking nice, right? So first of all, the insole is okay. It's just a regular kind of like cheap insole that Nike usually gives us in their cheaper shoes. And then underneath that, you have like a stiffer stroke board, you know? So it's kind of weird. So when I put the shoe on, like especially when I first got it, it wasn't like super duper soft, you know what I mean? Like super mushy like the Tatum 4s or the 808 Ultra, but it's still like kind of soft, right? But then like I feel like the barrier to feel the actual cushion is a little bit higher than like a soft mesh stroke board, obviously, right? So I feel like if you're a heavier dude, it's gonna be soft regardless, but if you're like around average weight like me, it's gonna be a little bit harder to feel, right? But once I started playing in it though, like jumping around and doing jump shots and stuff like that, it's really freaking soft. It just feels like the React X is like compressing right underneath my foot in the heel as well as in the forefoot, but more in the heel obviously. It's just like a really soft, plush, comfortable feel, you know? It's not bouncy really at all, but it's just really comfortable, right? And soft. So I really like that. And also, I was surprised at how much heel compression there is, because you see all this, I thought it would cage the hell out of the React X foam and be really stiff, but it actually doesn't, and it's like compresses with the React X foam pretty well. So it still has nice heel compression. Impact protection also is really nice. You have great underfoot feel. Not super bouncy though, but I mean for 105 bucks, this is a really nice cushioning setup, right? So if you want to save money, but you still want like a nice cushioning setup, this is a great freaking option, you know? So there is a cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So yeah, in terms of quality, it's definitely not the best, especially with all the synthetic material, like where the swoosh is, here in the midfoot area, here in the ankle area. The only thing that's kind of nice is like this ballistic nylon type of material, you know? But also like around the toe box, you have the same like synthetic leather material or like synthetic material. Once you break it in though, it's really soft though. It's really, really soft. It's pretty thin. It's not the thinnest material, like comparing it to like the Sabrina 3s, right? These are super duper thin, but it's still like pretty dang thin, you know? And it's super duper soft. Like it conforms to your foot extremely well. You don't really need to break it in too much. It's like soft pretty much right out the box. But again, like it does stain. Like there's a good amount of like scuff marks on this as well. So if you don't like that, probably just get like a darker colorway, you know? And then for the tongue, it's not super well padded. I would say it's like pretty minimal. And it's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. But like, as you guys can see, this entire material here, it looks like it's one piece, but it is stitched together, but you know, it's using the same exact material, right? And then here in the ankle area, we also do have a nice bit of padding. It's like it's pretty thick, it's pretty plush, you know, it feels pretty comfortable here in the back of the shoe. And then all the way in the back, we have the lion for I guess LeBron James. It's been like a staple in the Witness line, you know what I mean? It's embroidered there, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, overall it feels really comfortable. It conforms to your foot really well. It is a little bit stiffer and a little bit more supportive feeling than, you know, like the Sabrina 3s and a lot of guard shoes that Nike has to offer. So just a little bit more supportive, but not super stiff. Again, once you break it in, it's still like pretty soft for the material. But also, again, it's not great for the quality though. It feels pretty cheap, but I feel like for 105 bucks, it's not terrible, you know what I mean? So there is the upper there. Moving on to the fit. So I went true to my Nike size, and this shoe fits me. It fit me pretty well when I first got it, but it got really roomy, you know what I mean? So here in the Sabrina 3, I went the exact same size in both of these shoes, and the Sabrina 3s are really snug, you know what I mean? But the Witness 9 is like, it's pretty roomy, you know what I mean? So lengthwise, I definitely would say it's a little bit long, just a tiny bit. But here in the toe box, it's like really roomy now. Like it's a pretty roomy fit. And also for the width, it is a little bit wider than like the Sabrina 3, you know what I mean? So yeah, my foot wasn't swimming. You know what I mean? It wasn't swimming in the forefoot, but it definitely was kind of like moving around a little bit. If you can and you want to really snuff fit, maybe go down half a size from your Nike size. And if you have a wide foot or you want a roomy fit here in the toe box, yeah, you should be fine going true to size. Or maybe if you want to be a little bit safer, go up half a size. But for me, it's a little bit roomier than I would like, especially after breaking it in, right? So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown, overall it was pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely isn't the most supportive and rigid feeling shoe, but again, it has a more rigid and supportive feel than a lot of guard shoes that Nike has to offer. So lateral containment, I was fine. My foot was hitting the forefoot here, but it wasn't coming out of the footbed really at all. So that was fine for me. I feel like if you're heavier though, it probably isn't gonna be the best option because there's not a concrete like side wall, you know. But I feel like it'll be adequate for most people, you know what I mean? But it was good for me. And then here in the heel, you have like the rubber coming up as well as an internal TPU heel counter. So lateral containment was good for me. Just probably be careful if you're a heavier dude here in the forefoot. Lateral stability also is pretty nice. You have an outrigger. They're actually giving us an outrigger. So yeah, you have a wide base. I was good to go. I didn't really mind it too much. And overall, heel lockdown was pretty good. Once I cranked down the laces, my shoe was pretty like locked down into the shoe besides like here in the forefoot because of the fit though, you know? So yeah, overall supporting lockdown was pretty good for me. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. If I remember correctly, the shoe was like around average weight, maybe a little bit heavier because of like all this rubber and cage. Yeah, 13.45 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 13.35 ounces, right? Let's compare it to the Sabrina 3, which is extremely light, 11.45 ounces, right? So the Sabrina 3 is 2 whole ounces lighter than the Lebron Witness 9, right? So yeah, it definitely has a little bit more of a heavier, a little bit more of a rigid feel, just a tiny bit though, just a tiny bit, you know? But did I feel responsive? Yeah, when I was playing on a clean court, I felt pretty quick and I really loved how good the court feel was, but also how comfortable the cushion was underfoot. But the overall traction just wasn't amazing, you know what I mean? And also with my foot kind of like swimming around or like moving a little bit here in the forefoot, wasn't a huge fan of that. But overall, it was pretty nice. I wouldn't say it's the most responsive shoe though, you know, especially if you're a guard and you want a really quick feeling shoe, this probably isn't the best option. I would probably recommend it for more for bigger dudes, or if you want a little bit more cushion, you know what I mean? And now moving on to the ventilation, nope, this shoe is pretty hot. There's like no airflow through this upper. And moving on to the durability, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the upper might last you a little bit. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like terrible like the Sabrina 3s. You know what I mean? But with the outsole as well, it just doesn't seem like it'll be super durable. It doesn't feel super tanky, you know what I mean? Like old school shoes, you know? But I feel like I give it like average. And now moving on to the aesthetics, I really like it though. The aesthetics look really nice. It looks pretty unique, especially with the crown. I like the incorporation of that. But it just has a pretty nice, like simple look to it. And then also I feel like you can definitely wear this off court as well. It looks more like an off court shoe too, as opposed to like a hoop shoe or like a gym shoe, right? So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, for $105, I feel like this shoe is pretty dang nice. Is it my favorite? No, but I was really impressed with the cushion. I really like the cushion. I like the upper because it's like soft, it's comfortable on foot. I definitely do see me like wearing this casually too. You know what I mean? Like, again, like it has a nice casual look and it's comfortable. Is it my type of shoe though? Like for basketball, I wouldn't say so. Like obviously my type of shoe would be like the Sabrina 3, you know, the Joker 1 GT, the Tatum 4s, you know, something lightweight, a lot more minimal for the upper, way better for traction, you know what I mean? But I definitely feel like if you're a guard, you can make it work though. Like if you're playing on an immaculate court, you can make it work. But I would recommend it more for bigger dudes if you want to save a little bit more money, and you don't need like crazy good support. You don't want something like super duper rigid, but like a little bit more supportive than normal, or I guess like compared to like the Sabrinas. And again, you want like that, you know, well cushioned a feel for the price, then the Lebron Witness 9 is a pretty nice option, right? So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Nike Lebron Witness 9. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave in the free link in the description box. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.